98 Not Out, sponsored by Shepherd Neame, proud supporters of cricket in Essex.
Very excited to welcome to the show the Essex and England legend, Mr. Graham Gooch. Welcome, Graham.
Yes, good evening, Darren. Nice to speak to you.
And you, as always. I can call you a legend because I've seen on the Essex social media page today, they've been asking, but they've done a big profile of yourself as an Essex legend, and they've been pitching you against Sir Alistair about who's the greatest Essex player of all time.
Right.
I know where my vote.
He's a bit quicker between the wickets these days.
Well, we were talking about beep test the other week, and he's still the king of the bleep test at Essex. David Masters was telling us how good he is. Yes,
he's always been very fit from when he first came on the staff, way back in about 2003. He was always up front there, and he's kept his fitness, he's kept his shape, not putting on any weight, and fortunately for Essex, he's still playing brilliantly.
He is. He hasn't seemed to have tailed off at all, has he? Even since he sort of stepped back from the England role, he's still... Everything's still there. He doesn't seem to have slackened off at all.
No, he's a consummate professional. You know, he's built his reputation on the way he works at his game, his determination, his strength of mind. All those things come together with Alistair. He's supremely talented as well. He's improved his technique down the years. He's improved his range of strokes, and he still goes out there. And you know, whatever you say about Alistair, he provides scores that wins matches for the teams he plays for. He did it as a rock for England for well over a decade, as we know, and now he's continuing to do it for Essex in the county championships. Helped us to 2 titles in 3 years, and he's the perfect player to provide a platform for your team.
You got a few words about Dave Masters, who was on last week. He was another stalwart of Essex over the last. When he retired, was it 3 years ago?
Yeah, well, absolutely. He was much loved by the supporters. He came to us from Leicestershire, I think, and he was in Kent in his early days. Obviously, lives just across the water in Dartford, and I remember actually playing for Essex against Kent at Dartford. I think it was Hesketh Park, if I remember.
That's right, yeah.
It wasn't the most salubrious of changing rooms, if I remember, but it was always a great battle, Essex at Kent. And when David came to Essex, you know, he's the sort of guy that, put everything on the line for the club. You know, he ran in all day long. You know, he's a real workhorse of a player, got his rewards. Wasn't the quickest bowler, but, you know, moved the ball around a lot and bowled an immaculate length of line all day long, and his record was second to none for Essex in the time he was there, and he was much loved by all their supporters.
Yeah, I think also it was noted how much he did off the field as well. He always had time for the supporters and club events, and he sort of wore the badge with pride, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important part in county cricket, you know, especially for Essex, because, you know, we're a family club. We've always have been, and we value our members, our supporters, our sponsors, all our fans who've been involved with the club for many, many years. And that's very important, and it's very important for the players to engage with those supporters. It's always been that way since I've been there, you know, for many, many years, since the early 70s. And it's nice that the supporters can have a relationship with the players.
Graham, it's Brett here. How you doing? One of the things the club's always done is great charity work throughout the time, and especially I know you've been pushing it a lot more. You've become a bit of an ambassador for the club on that front, and you do a lot of great work. But you're also involved with the club with the latest thing that we are all involved with, which is the... and the words have gone completely out of my head.
Supporting humanity.
Supporting humanity, that's it. I've been here about 4.5 hours now. I'm starting to struggle.
Okay.
Second show of the day. Shouldn't have done it. So you've been involved with supporting the club in what they're doing as well, haven't you?
Only in a very small way. Yeah, I mean, I think the plaudits and the salutes should go to the our fan Akram down in East London, where I was brought up. He along with others, Saffron Kitchen is the name of the restaurant, and Iman Channel, which is an Asian channel, have got together with some other supporters and the restaurant has produced meals, hundreds of meals over the last few weeks for hospitals in and around East London and Essex. And Simon Harmer, Tom Wesley, Varun Chopra, to name the three, and others have been down at the restaurant the last 3 weeks, I think, helping pack the food parcels and things into big cool boxes. And then the way I got involved really is very in a small way. Myself and my partner Julio, yesterday we delivered some of these food parcels, I think about 75 in a big cool box to the Princess Alexandra Hospital in Harlow, and then we went on to Broomfield to deliver some food as well. It's the same as we did last week. So we're only involved in a small way, but it's the people who provide the food who should get all the thanks, really, because they're providing this much needed help for hard-working NHS staff in all our hospitals in our area.
I still think it's great that the impact that figures such as yourself and the guys that you mentioned, Simon, Tom, and Varun, it does help. The look, I saw some of the pictures on social media that Essex have put up of you guys helping out. Just to see the look on people's faces is just as important, and I think it's not to be underestimated. The impact of having yourselves and the effort that you guys make to be involved, it does certainly have an effect.
Well, it's just a small thing for us, really. But I have to say that the staff at the hospitals that in the 2 weeks that we've done it are very appreciative, very grateful that we are thinking of them, because they're the people on the front line. They're the ones who are providing the essential care for people who are less well off than us and have fallen ill with many ailments, as well as this sort of deadly current coronavirus. And I met nurses at Broomfield that some of them have been working for 17 days flat out without a day off. So they're putting in the real effort, and they're the ones that should get all the rewards, really.
I think Essex, though, coronavirus aside, have for a long time been very supportive of the NHS in our area. And Brett and I went along last Christmas, as you guys do every Christmas, to go to the Broomfield Hospital and visit a few of the wards and mingle with the staff and just try and provide a bit of Christmas cheer. So I think from Essex's point of view, they cannot be accused of jumping on any kind of a bandwagon here, because you've been doing it consistently as a club for a very long time, and I think it's really commendable that Essex interact with the community in the way they do.
Well, we'd like to think we have close ties with lots of organisations, in and around Essex and East London, and certainly, you might remember, because before Broomfield Hospital, Chelmsford and East Essex Hospital, I think it was called, still partly there, was on the edge of the ground.
That's right.
On the far side from the pavilion, on the London Road, really. And it was quite handy if you got hit on the finger, because you could go straight across there and have an X-ray straight away.
I quite often remember
quite a lot with a lot of big West Indian fast bowlers who was playing county cricket in those days.
We just played, just to divert very quickly, I just played an old reggae record called Cricket, Lovely Cricket, and it mentioned a few of the old boys. You faced pretty much all of those hostile fast bowlers. In your mind, who was the quickest or the most dangerous that you faced down those years?
Through the late 70s, Andy Roberts was really the first of the sort of batch of fast bowlers that dominated world cricket over the next, I would say, 15 years or so, maybe a bit longer. Culminating probably with the Ambrose and Walsh era, really sort of ended the dominance, I would say, of West Indies fast bowlers over the Test arena. Andy Roberts was first, and then he was joined by Michael Holding and Colin Croft, Joel Garner, obviously, and then in between, people like Ian Bishop, obviously Malcolm Marshall, who they all could bowl fast on their day, and they all were consistently quick. And what you remember, Darren, is not what I remember. It is not particularly a bowler who was the quickest, over a period of time. You remember really remember a particular match and whatever. And I would say Patrick Patterson was the quickest bowler I faced, Jamaica 1986. His Test debut. Now, in no way, no disrespect to Patrick, he wasn't the best fast bowler, West Indian fast bowler I played against, and that accolade would easily go to Malcolm Marshall. He was my number one. He had all the attributes, but we'll come to him. But on that day at Sabina Park in 1986, Patrick Patterson making his debut, I mean, that's probably the one and only time in my career where I thought this bowler could hit me, and I couldn't really protect myself, because normally you think you get your hands in front of your face or your body or whatever, and you might fend it off and whatever. But this particular day, he was rapid, as they say.
You were very, very good at handling it. I remember your good mate Geoffrey Boycott wasn't quite such a fan of the quickies, was he?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of comment about Geoffrey avoiding Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson in 1974-5 in Australia. I couldn't comment on that. I made my debut for England obviously after that. But all I can say, on the tours where I went with Geoffrey against fast bowling, against that bowling attack, I said, Roberts, Garner, Holding and Croft, he was a very brave player and he was a brilliant player, and he'd certainly be my favourite opening batsman to bat with. So I'm in the school. He's a good friend, and also he was a brilliant cricketer as well. So I don't subscribe to the fact that he had tried to avoid fast bowling, because when he played against the West Indies, there was no end to get up, I'm afraid.
No, that's right.
Talking of playing against the West Indies, we've got to mention that knock of yours, the unbeaten 154. Headingley. Headingley always seems to be a famous place for England Test innings, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, I have to say, in my early excursions to Headingley, playing for England, prior to sort of 1991, through the 80s, really, it was not a favourite place for me, because the overhead conditions at Headingley play a huge part on how conditions are going to be and how the wicket is going to behave. Generally, if the sun was out, you could have pretty good conditions for batting. If it was overcast, it could be a bit of a bowler's paradise. And of course, also, which sort of made you feel a little bit on edge. We used to practice on the outfield, had nets on the outfield, like in front of the old pavilion, and used to get all these Yorkshire lead bowlers, James Middlebrook, who played for us for a long time. His dad, Ralph, I remember, was one of the net bowlers, because he was quite a good club cricketer. Used to come in and bowl to you in the nets, on the days before the test, and the ball used to jag around everywhere on these green wickets. And I never felt confident when I went into the match, because you always felt there was a ball with your name on it. So, fortunately for me, I exercised those bad thoughts in 1991. And it's always nice to provide a score that helps your side win the game. So that was nice.
It's a very different ground, Headingley, now to what it was then as well. It looks completely different.
Oh, absolutely. They've rebuilt. I haven't seen it in the flesh, so to speak, but they've rebuilt the football stand end. There's a bit of slope on the ground. When I went there, it was not the original pavilion, but there was a small like club type pavilion on one side of the ground.
That's right.
A deep square leg. That's all gone now. Then they went to changing the football stand end, and now, of course, they've got another new pavilion now at the top end of the ground. I can't remember what it's called now. There's a big sort of green building, which was built in conjunction with the university up there at Leeds. So it has changed completely. But, I mean, the Yorkshire crowd were not short of a few comments when you were playing up there, that was for sure.
And, of course, if we're talking Headingley, you had a very good view of Mr. Botham's Headingley antics in 1981, didn't you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a folklore match now. People arguing now or discussing whether Ben Stokes' knock at Headingley was superior to Ian's back in 81. Difficult to say, really. I would say there was more pressure on Ben Stokes, without a doubt. Because if you look back at this match in 81, when Ian entered the crease, we followed on, and it wasn't going well for us at all. We were going down. Every cricketer knows when you're on the wrong end of it. And when Ian went in, he he started to throw the bat quite a bit, and because it was a sort of a lost cause. And he got to 50, and he grew in confidence, and the Australians got more and more frustrated. They tried to bowl quicker and shorter, and Graham Gooch came in, and he kept Ian company. I think he got 50 actually, and then Chris Holt came in after that with him and got 20 odd not out, I think. And you can legislate for someone playing like Ian did, throwing the bat, taking all the risks, to get 50, 60, 70 even, but not 100 and what was it? I think 147,
148 or something, was it? Yeah,
something like that. Anyway, and it was the most amazing innings. And of course, the scoreboard flashed up. The odds for England to win 500 to 1.
Right.
Of course, there's the great story about Dennis Lilly and Rodney Marsh sending their bus driver around to the one Ladbrokes tent on the ground or whatever it was to put a tenner on it in a 2-horse race. They thought it was a good bet, never thinking that obviously they were going to win, that Australia were going to win. And of course, on that last day, God rest his soul, Bob Willis couldn't get on at first. Mike Brearley wouldn't put him on. He put him on bowling up the hill at the football stand end, which was not Bob's end really. And it all changed really when they had I'm not saying it's a crossword, but Bob thought, give me a go at the other end, down the hill, and he did, and the rest is history. And of course, what you probably don't know, Darren, Brett, is that the Aussies, when they were 50 for 1, which they were chasing about 130, was it, something like that?
Yeah.
They filled their bath in the old pavilion with champagne, ice and champagne. And Ian Botham and Bob Willis were the ones who drank all that champagne.
What was it like do you actually, at the time when that starts going on, do you think to yourself, hello, we're onto something, or was it just as surreal as it was for the rest of us?
I think at first, when you're protecting such a small score, you think you might have a chance if you get early wickets, okay? If you knock 2 or 3 over in the first 5 or 6 overs, okay, and a side are 24-3, you think a bit of panic might set in and you might have a chance. But when they were 50 for 1, and that's when Bob sort of started to come in from down the hill, the Kirkstall Lane end, I think it's called. He got 1 wicket. Okay, nothing in your mind as the fielding side changes too much, and then another one. When they get to 3-4 down, then you think, hang on, there might be a little bit of chance. Of course, the flip side of this is in the opposition dressing room, in their dressing room. I wouldn't say there'd be panic, but then the worry starts to set in, if you see what I mean.
Watching the television pictures of that, and I can remember at the time seeing it on the TV. Mr. Willis was in an absolute zone of concentration and sense of purpose. I mean, even at the end, when he sort of took the winning wicket and he sort of wheeled away and sprinted off the pitch, he was still in this sort of his own zone of concentration or whatever.
The word you're looking for, he's in a trance, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
He was in a trance. He was like not with us. He was in his own little world, all wrapped up, and even every time he took a wicket, I saw some of the replays the other day. Every time he took a wicket, he went back and put another. If you noticed that, another short sleeve sweater on, took it off the umpire, and you could see by his eyes he was looking down, and he was just trying to, I don't know, maintain this trance-like state. And we were all tapping him on the back, and he wasn't really engaging. He was like. He was a man possessed.
That was one of sports, unquestionably greatest moments, and
absolutely.
Yeah, it was. I can still remember, watching it on TV at the time, and
obviously they'll be mentioning the Ben Stokes innings in the same breath, because I remember I was up in Norfolk last summer. We were driving along North Norfolk coast and listened to it on the radio, and. You think, well, there is a chance when Johnny Bairstow's there and the wickets start to go down, and it's going to be a great effort. We're just going to fall short here. He's going for his shots all the time, Ben Stokes, and he's taking on the fielders. He's trying to farm the strike a little bit, but not too much. And then when it gets down to the last man, who was no mug, I have to say, Jack Leach, because he He got, what did he get, 90 odd earlier in the season?
Yeah,
didn't he?
against Ireland.
Night watchman against Lords.
Yeah.
So he can hold up an end. But then he sort of protected him a little bit, and you're thinking 70, was it 70 or something? I have no chance of going 70 for the last wicket. That's a hell of a lot of runs.
Yeah.
And it all got to be scored by one man. And, because they're going to have the field set back for Ben Stokes, and, Jack Leach is going to face, well, if he farms a strike, he's going to face 1-2 balls, maybe an over. He's not going to score any. So it was a miraculous performance, amazing performance.
It was good. So what do you think, we will see any cricket this summer? You're hoping it's just going to be a strange one, isn't it?
Well, I'll be hopeful, but I mean, we are completely dependent on the situation with this virus, aren't we? And how we as a country and other countries get a handle on what's happening now. The ECB, as I understand it, are meeting today, and they're trying to they're probably going through likely scenarios. They will certainly want to try and get some of the T20 and some of the international cricket, I would have thought, on. So they'll be looking at scenarios like where we're going to play these matches. I think one of the big driving factors will be, can we get any sort of meaningful cricket on for our broadcasters so they can broadcast to, the wider community and maybe show it on free-to-air or whatever. You tell me, but I can't see the government relaxing mass gatherings situation. That would be the last thing they're going to let down.
I know.
So, and that applies to the football as well, I would say. Yeah. So, behind closed doors, I suppose, is a possibility. How that will take place and what form that will take, who knows? But I don't think sitting here now, we can be that hopeful. Depends how the thing, we're not going to go from the lockdown situation we're in now to everything being normal. It's going to be a drip feed effect, isn't
Absolutely.
I think so, wouldn't you?
I did touch earlier on in the programme we were just discussing, and it's testament to the management at Essex, of the committee, the chairman and the CEO, of the financial prudence that's been exercised over the last few years. That means that Essex aren't in a precarious situation as a club, as a business, if you like. Essex can weather this storm, it looks like.
Well, I mean, Essex has always been a club, since we had the successful period, late 70s all through the 80s. They've tried to keep their finances in order. We've never really been in debt. We've always been in the black. Obviously, us, like other clubs, need the money from the centre, to help make ends meet. But with the 2 championship victories in the last 3 years and the T20 victory, our support both through members, fans, corporate support, sponsors and all that sort of thing has been very good. So, we are very grateful to our supporters, always have been. They've been very loyal, they've been very supportive, and they appreciate the style of cricket we've always tried to play and entertain. And, we'd like to think that we try and take care of them at the same time if we can.
Well, we're big supporters of Essex, and I think as we've established through this conversation that the club is to be applauded for the behaviour off the field, the results on the field, and really the success is fully and thoroughly deserved from our point of view.
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
And you, before we let you go, how are you getting on with this lockdown period? Are you keeping yourself busy? Obviously, you're doing this.
Well, we count ourselves one of the lucky ones. We've got a decent garden, and there's fields at the back of us, going down to Ingatstone. So we walk across the fields, we walk round there, we walk down to the farm shops sometimes at Brentwood and sometimes at Gallywood, and pick up some, vegetables by combining a walk to go to the shop. So, I mean, I can't complain really. There's a lot of people a lot worse off than us, and we think of them, and we, our thoughts are with them. So we're surviving, not a problem really. We just hopefully everyone stay safe. Everyone, adheres as best they can to things they need to do in this situation, and we get back to some form of normality as soon as we can. But I think that's going to be quite a while.
Yes, I think so. Graham, absolute pleasure and a privilege to have you on this evening. Many thanks for giving us your time and a couple of fantastic stories actually as well. So always, many thanks.
Well, can I say, thanks to you as a supporter of Essex for, being there for the club when they need it, and thanks to the radio station for highlighting, what Essex tried to do and supporting our cricket. And hopefully we can give the people of Essex, East London, East Anglia, something to cheer about, maybe, hopefully, somewhere near the end of the summer.
Excellent.
Graham, hopefully we'll catch up with you in a bar watching a bit of cricket very soon.
Okay, nice to speak to you.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks.